All right, guys. So here you are seeing my volume focused squat, deadlift, and leg day. And basically, how I design my training week is I like to separate my training sessions into strength focus, hypertrophy focus, or more of a technique focused for different lifts slash power. And that's just because it really helps you focus on more qualities. And then basically separating different qualities like hypertrophy in one session from more so strength will actually allow you to get a little bit better at adaptations following that session if you're sending one signal to your body as opposed to saying, oh, we're doing like strength on squat, then we're doing volume on deadlift. I've also found this tends to help out with acute fatigue management a little bit easier, so that you're a little more strong, like when you know that you're supposed to. But what you're seeing here is I'm doing ascending sets on my squats and my deadlifts. What that basically means is that I pyramid weight up to a specific RPE targets. Today was being 6 to 7 RPE on both squat and on deadlift. And I just I have to do at least 3 sets of quote unquote working weight to where I get to that spot. And basically, I like taking about 5% jumps in between my lifts. I find that tends to put me in a good spot. For each set. This is something that I've done on squats and deadlifts in particular, because I found that straight sets just tend to really fatigue me a lot, and I don't get as much of a benefit from it. I also have found that when I am doing ascending sets as opposed to straight sets, my level of focus and my exercise quality and execution seems to be better, just because I'm just more mentally engaged. Whereas one of the whole things about top sets and down sets, or straight sets, is like, well, you get done with your top set, you kind of went heavy, and then you're like, oh, like, I look at this more boring back down work. But with ascending sets, it's like you're setting yourself up for the heaviest set, and you're really just trying to apply a high level of focus, make the barbell move as fast as possible. So that's been something that's been working really well for me on squat and deadlift in particular. I am getting used to the Kabuki bar. The gym just got one, and the USPA meet director actually owns it, and since I'm friends with him, he is letting me use it. It is completely different than a Texas deadlift bar or a straight bar. There's a lot more whip, and there's just a completely different technique. So I'm still figuring it out. I'm like, it mainly is like with pressure distribution on my feet. I have to kind of drive through my heels a lot more. And it feels like really, really hard off of the floor because there's just a lot of slack to pull. But on some reps, I do it right. It's like, holy crap, like that felt really, really easy. So I think that especially as I do learn the bar, I'll have a much better shot of really being able to express my strength on deadlift a little bit better. Especially, I might have to be a little bit more patient with my deadlift style too, just because I tend to be rather grip and rep be pretty explosive, and that's intentional actually. I tried being a little bit less, like a little bit more slow off the floor, and I just don't get the same amount of power when I do use a hip shoot. But then here you're seeing me do a single leg press. I really like these because it really helps me with rooting on my feet and being able to really feel what it feels like driving through my midfoot. I also just get a objectively better quad mind muscle connection, as well as also feel it in my glutes a little bit more, because I can go into a little bit more hip flexion at the bottom. But right now, I'm sitting pretty light. Actually, I'm like the weekend between like 186 to like 188. So like a part of me is really upset about that. But for those of you who have been following along, when I was diagnosed with hypothyroidism, I was prescribed 100 micrograms of T4 and 25 micrograms of T3 per day. And even though I'm losing weight, I don't feel terrible at all. Like, I feel literally like way better than I ever have in my entire life, regardless of caloric state, just because I have actual energy. And that's been something that's just been kind of new. So I'm still kind of figuring out my metabolism right now. I'm eating a lot, and I'm really not hungry, but I'm just trying to really focus on gaining muscle right now, because like I can obviously cut very, very fast. In terms of like body fat percentage right now, I don't like to worry about it too much. I usually say just like around 10% plus or minus 2% is probably where I sit around most of the year. But like I feel pretty good here. Training has been going really well. Honestly, I had a really low period for a long time, but then it's just kind of been like really good progress ever since. I'm also going back to squatting twice a week, as you can see with the barbell on my back, and that is absolutely helping out with my technique a little bit more. I do get a lot of safety bar squat, but in terms of like technique, um, I do think that I need to have a little bit more of that comp squat exposure. And the more often I do comp squats, I realize I kind of just need to have like a really slow eccentric and sort of a semi pause just to keep like the weight on my midfoot, and just really emphasizing that control. And then obviously finish up with some ab wheel rollouts. I like doing these a lot. Really focusing on protraction at the top of my with like my shoulders to get a little bit better my muscle connection. But yeah, that's the update. If you guys have any questions, just let me know. I wanted to get this out there so you guys can kind of know like a little bit more about what my training is like.